TF2 is kind of a semi-pay-to-win game. If you're a player without any unlockable weapons, the core gameplay would still be intact, but your experience of the game would be significantly limited. So, to see which class is the least pay-to-win, let's find out which class has the best stock loadout in the game. We start off strong with the fast Boston Boy. His stock primary and secondary weapon are both top tier choices for any player. The scattergun is hands down the most powerful and consistent primary for scout. The large clip size allows for a bigger room for error, perfect for bad players like me who misses 5 shots out of 6, and it still does an insane amount of damage if you hit a juicy meat shot. Its DPS may be rivaled by the Soda Popper, but its consistency is simply uncontested by other scout primaries. The pistol is also an amazing weapon. Sure, in terms of DPS, the stock pistol is worse than the Pretty Boy's pocket pistol. In terms of utility, it's worse than the Winger. But do you know what people use pistols for? That's right, finishing off enemies. The clip size and the slower firing speed of the pistol actually allows players to keep shooting for a longer period of time. Shooting longer means that the margin of error is larger and it is less likely that you'll miss a whole clip of your shots. So I would say that the stock pistol is just as good as the Pretty Boy's pocket pistol and the Winger. The only problem with Scout stock loadout is its melee. The melee of Scout is kind of special because it has double the quote-unquote firing speed and half the damage, but it's pretty useless when the other two choices of weapons are basically the best close-range weapons in the game. Since the bat has no special stats, its utility is non-existent as well. A melee that can't deal good damage and has no utility. I sure do hope that this doesn't apply to all the stock melees in the game. However, considering that the utility of other melees aren't exceedingly powerful, using the bat is not that bad. So I'll give the stock scout a solid 8 out of 10, just because of the scattergun and the stock pistol. Coming up next is the Soldier. Similar to Scout, his primary and secondary weapons are top tier, but he has a lackluster melee. The stock rocket launcher is just solid. Good damage, good clip size, good splash, and nothing else. Sometimes a good weapon can be very simple. The other alternative primaries often have huge downsides for an okay upside. Take the Black Box for example. The Black Box can give you some nice health regen upon a hit, but its reduced clip size reduces your damage output in general, and you basically cannot bomb enemies at all. Therefore, the rocket launcher is the most reliable and consistent among the primaries. For the shotgun, I think it is a very underrated weapon. Banners and the gunboats may offer some decent utility, but the shotgun is ideal for dealing the maximum amount of damage as a soldier. The reloading time of the rocket launcher is very slow, and the shotgun is a great way to deal damage when you run dry on rockets. You still gotta shoot something when you don't have any rockets in your clip, right? However, the panic attack outshines the stock in general. The panic attack has a faster switching speed, higher damage up close, and a fixed bullet spread pattern. The only thing going for the stock shotgun is that it's slightly better in longer ranges, but still, the stock shotgun is not that far behind the panic attack and it's okay. The shovel, however, is not. It offers no utility while its alternatives offer a lot. If you're a lone wolf, the escape plan can help you scramble to health packs at low health. If you're a team player, the disciplinary action can help your heavies arrive at the front lines quicker. The shovel simply offers nothing, and it's easily the worst melee weapon for Soldier. Soldier gets a 7 out of 10. Now for the flamethrowing Psychopath. The stock flamethrower is a nice all-rounder among the Pyro primaries. Yes, it's slower than the Degreaser in terms of switch speed, but it doesn't have an air blast penalty and it does good afterburn damage. It's actually pretty good for players who want to occasionally WM1, but in my opinion, the speed of the Degreaser is just too important, so the stock isn't the best flamethrower, but it's up there. For the shotgun, I've already said what I want to say in the Soldier segment of the video. It's worse than the panic attack, but not by much. Flare guns are nice, but I would say shotguns are just more consistent and they deal more damage in general, so I like shotguns more. These two weapons aren't really combo pyro, so it's kinda pointless to compare them against shotguns, so I'm not gonna do that. For the melee, the fire axe straight up sucks. The top 3 melee weapons for pyro each have their own specialized advantages, yet the fire axe is just a dull stock melee. Trust me, being dull and useless, I know how that feels. At least it's better than the sharpened volcano fragment. The afterburn from the fragment overlaps with the flamethrower, so it's even worse than the fire axe. So all in all, I'll give the Pyro a 6 out of 10. Moving on to the 4th class of the Team Fortress 2 game, we have the Scottish Demolition Man. He actually has a really good stock loadout. Now that the Iron Bomber has been nerfed or, fixed, it doesn't have a significant advantage over the stock grenade launcher, meaning that it's basically personal preference on which one you choose. The stock grenade launcher is a nice tool for self-defense, a great way to deal significant damage ASAP, and it also offers a nice explosion radius for some splash damage action. To me though, the arc of the pipes are still kinda different from the Iron Bomber, and I still prefer the latter one. But but I think it only applies to me, so I'm not gonna deduct any marks here. For the secondary weapon, it might as well be the primary, because if you see a demo in-game, there's like a 70% chance that they're using this thing. The sticky bomb launcher is probably the best weapon in the game. It deals splash damage, is flexible, and most importantly, it can be used without a brain. At a high level, good players can use the sticky bomb launcher to sink stickies, to one-shot medics. You can do chain sticky jumps, you can hit air shots if you want to, but even as a bad player, you can still do well with the sticky bomb launcher just by holding M2 and spamming M1. Its only weakness is very close range combat. By then, you can use pipes, but it deals too much self-damage, and that's when the melee comes in. At the surface, the bottle is just another stock melee, but combined with Demo's special characteristics, it is actually a very good weapon. As mentioned before, Demo lacks a good way to deal with enemies that are very close to him. A melee weapon can help a Demo to semi-overcome this weakness of his, so melee actually plays a bigger part in Demo than that in other classes. The movement speed of Demo also helps him hit his melee strikes easier. Although he's technically the third slowest class in the game, he still moves pretty quickly and can aid you in connecting those precious melee hits. Furthermore, Demo is probably the most effective damage dealer in the game, and that can help increase the crit chance of the melee weapon, which already has a higher crit chance. So the crit chance and the strong role that the bottle plays in Demo's combat makes it a surprisingly good weapon. Two amazing weapons plus a decent stock melee equals to an amazing stock loadout. Demo gets a 9 out of 10. Impressive. And now let's talk about the Russian big guy, the Heavy. Heavy has a pretty bad stock loadout, with 1 decent weapons and 2 bad ones. Let me explain. The minigun is a nice all-rounded heavy primary. It's slower than the Tomislav, but faster than the Brass Beast and the Natasha. It deals less damage than the Brass Beast, but it deals more damage than the Tomislav. And its big bullet spread and firing rate makes it easier to track enemies. But still, in my opinion, the speed of the Tomislav is just something too good to give up, so I would say the stock minigun is the second best heavy primary. Not bad, still. But for the secondary slot, the shotgun is pretty disappointing. Now, nothing really out-damages the minigun, so the shotgun is only used when the minigun can't finish the job. Now, I can think of 2 situations where that's the case. The first one is running out of your minigun ammo, which doesn't really happen that much. When's the last time you've used up all 200 of your minigun ammo, right? The second situation is when things are getting so messy that you don't have the time to rev up your minigun. This sometimes happens, but for this to actually work, you need to switch to the shotgun, which takes time, and not miss the shotgun shot. If you miss, then the efficiency of doing this is no better than actually revving up the minigun. Like, if you miss a few bullets with a minigun, you can instantly readjust, but if you miss a shotgun shot, you gotta wait a while before firing the second shot. Making matters worse, lunchbox items exist, and they provide infinitely more utility than a dull shotgun like this. The melee isn't any better either. Imagine being in a fight, and you have 3 ways to deal damage. You can use a minigun, a shotgun, or your bare hands. Which one are you gonna choose? Of course, not the bare hands, right? Only an idiot would opt for that, because the minigun and the shotgun, they're just way better at closer ranges. They deal more damage, they're more reliable. You know, why use your hands? The heavy slow movement speed makes it harder to land those punches as well. Unlike the Fist of Steel and the Gloves of Running Urgently, the stock fist just serve no purpose and has no utility. To sum things up, Heavy has a good primary, a horrible secondary, and a dog shit melee. That's why he gets a 4 out of 10. Truly big sad for the big guy. And now it's the time for the short Texan with stubby arms and 11 PhDs, the Engineer. Unfortunately, he probably has the worst stock loadout out of all the classes. First off, we have the shotgun. It itself is not that bad of a weapon, but its competitors are just too good. If you want crits, use Frontier Justice. If you want infinite ammo, use the Widowmaker. If you want utility, use the Rescue Ranger. If you straight up want a better shotgun, use the Panic Attack. The stock shotgun has no outstanding characteristics. I mean, if you want to have good mid-range damage output in the server without random bullet spread, it can be a good choice, but it's such a specific situation that I can't really see this being an upside. Still, the stock shotgun may be slightly worse than other options, but it's not that bad. The pistol experiences a similar fate as the stock shotgun. It deals a surprisingly good amount of damage, it reloads quickly, and its ammo count is astronomical, but unlike the Short Circuit and the Wrangler, it has no utility. At its best, the pistol can be a very good secondary for battle NG. At its worst, the pistol has nothing of value for a traditional NG who builds level 3 sentries. Again, the pistol is not that bad, but it's just outmatched by other options. The wrench cannot escape this fate as well. The only redeeming characteristic of this melee is the repair efficiency. If you want speed, use the Jag. If you want the weirdo teleporting utility, use the Eureka effect. If you want offensive capabilities, use the Gunslinger. The stock wrench just kinda sucks when compared to his peers, and to be honest, the Jag's repairing speed is not that far behind the stock wrench. So with that in mind, I would give the stock Engineer a disappointing but deserved 3 out of 10. I'm sorry, but your unlockables are just too good. Ah yes, the psychotic yet fascinating German doctor who lost his medical license. The medic stock loadout is okay, I guess. Starting off with the syringe gun. It sucks, it's hard to use, and even if you know how to use it, it's not that strong. That applies to all the syringe guns, so it's not that much of a surprise. The only good medic primary is the Crusader's crossbow. It's easy to use, deals more damage, and can heal people quickly. Basically better in damage, utility, and ease of use. By contrast, the syringe gun just sucks and it's pretty much useless, but that's alright because as a medic, you'll be using this most of the time. The medigun is the medic's actual primary, and you should use it 90 to 95% of the time, especially when you're not using the Crusader's crossbow. Technically, in situations where you're using the crossbow to heal people, you can still use the medigun. You know, it's just not as effective. That's why I think not having a crossbow isn't the worst thing ever. Sure, you do lose some burst healing potential, but you can still do your job competently. Maybe even a better job if you can't hit your crossbow shots. Just like with other mediguns, the stock medigun can heal people and ubercharge players. The ubercharge for stock grants both you and your healing target damage immunity for 8 seconds. Don't underestimate these 8 seconds, as in a fast-paced game like TF2, 8 seconds can mean victory or defeat. Now, the same can't be said for other mediguns, as they don't have ubercharges that are better than stock, at least in my opinion. Sure, crits are good, but you can still get headshot, backstabbed, or straight up killed, and the same can be said for both the Vaccinator and the Quick Fix. I think all mediguns have their strengths and weaknesses, but the stock medigun is the most all-rounded of them all, and is therefore the best. The Bone Saw though is far from the best. It doesn't have any utility, and its only good thing about it is the non-slower firing speed, and you know, it's not really a good upside, you know, it's kinda useless. The Uber Saw can grant instant Ubercharge meter gains, the Fighter Saw can do some wizardry with like Uber conversation after death, and the Solemn Vow can let you see enemy medics Uber percentage, and the Bone Saw just kinda sits there and does nothing. At least it's still a good melee to defend yourself with. It has the fastest firing speed, which is definitely useful, right? Regardless, medics don't use their melee all that much, and the same applies to the syringe guns. That's why despite the stock medic having 2 terrible weapons, he still gets a 6 out of 10, just because of the stock medigun. And now things take a turn for the better for the Australian marksman, who is quite proficient in producing jars of urine. Yes, we're talking about the sniper. Now, a sniper can't be a sniper without a sniper rifle, so, you know, let's just talk about that. The stock sniper rifle is, again, a pretty all-rounded primary. It doesn't have the team assisting utility like the Sydney Sleeper, it doesn't have the damage that the Machina has, and it doesn't have the rewards for hitting headshots like the Bazaar Bargain offers. But it is a sniper rifle, and it can do the job without any compromises. It doesn't leave any obvious tracers, it can headshot, it can no-scope, it doesn't have any snowball mechanics, it's just a plain old sniper rifle. And that's not a bad thing. The consistency and the reliability of it shines basically in all situations. It simply rewards steady hands with great damage. So you know what? I think this is the best sniper primary. For the SMG, I think it's underrated as well. Of course, on the surface, it doesn't seem like it has the same amount of utility that other secondaries offer, but it covers a lot of the weaknesses the sniper rifles have, or at least, you know, tries to cover them. The sniper rifles work well at long range, so the SMG is good at short to mid-range. The sniper rifles are unforgiving. If you miss a shot, you cannot fire the next one instantly, and you gotta watch the long animation of sniper reloading the rifle. So the SMG is an automatic weapon that's easy to use and hard to miss. It is a great tool for self-defense against enemies, especially against spies that know how to trick stab, and it's also a great tool for finishing off enemies that you just headshot but has 25 health left, for example. That's why I also consider the SMG to be a very competent secondary. Of course, it's not as good as the Girati, but it's still up there. The melee is up there as well, with the sniper's movement speed and the high crit chance due to his massive damage output. The stock melee is actually a very powerful weapon that can crit more often than you might think. It's also a very good last resort for dealing with enemies that you have no chance of winning against using an SMG. With all things considered, I think the stock sniper is actually a very good and well-rounded loadout, and it deserves an 8.5 out of 10. Last but not least, we have the sneaky backstabbing Frenchman who may or may not have had an affair with Scout's mother. Yes, I'm talking about the spy. And as always, let's begin at the top with the revolver. This is a very powerful handgun that can deal a surprising amount of damage if aimed correctly. If you have god-tier aim, you can even DM Scouts and still have an acceptable chance of coming out on top. With that being said, it lacks the high damage output that the Diamondback and the Ambassador has, and you might have trouble dealing with tankier enemies such as heavies. When dealing with these big guys, it's actually best best to use a small knife. And before you tell me that I missed a sapper, I'm just gonna say that, there's really no room for discussion on that slot, so I'm just gonna skip it. Now, the knife is a very reliable and all-rounded stock weapon, just like the stock sniper rifle. It doesn't give you a health reduction if you can't rack up kills, and it doesn't disappear if you get lit on fire. Still, you don't have as much trick stab capability as the beginner or the kunai, and you don't have the survivability that this bicycle offers, so it's not better than the other good knives. I would say they're just about the same in terms of efficiency. Then we have the good old Invisi watch. Now, I'm gonna be honest here, after using Deadringer exclusively for almost 2 years, going back is pretty painful. You can't really be aggressive and brainless with it, and you must be methodical, but when you are methodical, this watch rewards you immensely because it gives you the ability to cloak on demand and pick up ammo boxes mid-cloak. It rewards players who plan out their routes and know what they're doing. It has a hidden utility as well, which is quite rare for stock weapons. When cloaked, it gives you a 20% damage immunity and you become ever so slightly tankier, allowing you to escape from sticky situations easier. That's why I consider it to be as good as the other watches. Finishing off this list with a positive note, I would give the stock spy a 9 out of 10. Holy shit, that was a long list and a long bunch of words to come up with and read out loud. But wait, there's more. In conclusion, the Demo and Spy have the best stock loadouts and the Engineer has the worst one. Funny how the classes that free-to-plays tend to play have bad stock loadouts, and the classes that free-to-plays have trouble playing have the best stock loadouts. Anyways, agree or disagree with me, be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments, and also be sure to join my Discord server, link in description, and lastly, thank you very much for watching and I wish you all the best.